I'm Sam Moffett, this is my wife Carolyn, and we own Shirttail Creek Farm, where we produce grass-fed beef, pasture-raised eggs, and pasture-raised chicken.
And soon to be pork.
And soon pork, yes. We run the farm together, we co-manage the farm, and we have 4 other people that work on the farm and help us. We couldn't do it without them. We've got 6,000 hens on pasture, we're finishing a couple hundred head of cattle a year, and we produce about 400 meat birds a month. It's definitely more than 2 people can do by themselves. We started in advertising in radio and then moved on to digital advertising and ended up having our own business in Austin for a few years before we bought the farm.
We've got a little bit of everything going on out here.
People visit the farm and they see, especially on a morning like this where it's really pretty out and there's baby animals and chickens running around and stuff, and they see the pretty part of it, which is a very real part of it. But you know, there's the reality of what you do when you're dealing with, you know, snowpocalypse and all these things. And it's not always fun, but it's super fulfilling because every day you see the fruits of your labors. For us, that's really fulfilling. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, everything that you're doing is very tangible and physical, and you're seeing your effects either, you know, on the animals or on the farm itself if it's infrastructure. So yeah, you get to just kind of see your progress.
Carolyn and I, one day, we've been talking about wanting a farm for a long time. We have a little piece of land in Smithville where we kept our horses, and we would go out there on the weekends and talk about how nice it was to be in the country. And so one Saturday, there's a store in Austin called Callahan's. It's a feed store where they have baby chicks and goats, and we took the kids there. I remember distinctly walking out of there, and you said, you know, I think I'm ready to buy a farm. And so immediately I'm like, okay. So I started searching online, and this is the only place we actually physically visited.
Yeah, this was the first one we just really liked. It was beautiful because it was in the spring that we came out.
It's basically this time.
Yeah, it was around this time, and it's so green and lush. The house itself had so much potential, and we were like, we could do this. Like, this could be possible. We fully saw the potential of what we were going to do with the land, but it was just so picturesque. I love being out here. I loved being outside. I loved being around the animals.
It just looked like we thought it was supposed to look.
Yeah.
Like. That one will do. So regenerative agriculture is basically farming in the image of a healthy ecosystem. And what we do is we try to actually improve the land as we farm it and ranch it. We try to mimic nature. Monocrops don't exist in nature, so if you plant like one species of grass for the cattle to eat, that's not consistent with the way nature functions. We tend to plant mixes of different plants, legumes, grasses, and we allow forbs and some weeds that exist here to just grow with those things. There's competition in nature, and so we try to have that in our pastures as well. We first started with a couple hundred birds, and I think when I told Carolyn I wanted to order a few hundred chickens, she had an anxiety attack.
Every time he said, I'm going to order a couple hundred chickens,
a couple hundred more.
I finally started 4 years in not having it.
Yeah, the egg business is a lot of work, but you know, even still, we can't really keep eggs in stock. So it was obvious to us that was an area of the farm that we could scale. What makes our egg laying operation unique is that we do give our hens so much space. There needs to be a balance, because what we're trying to do is mimic nature with all this. And so where the chickens were all winter is where the cattle will be grazing this summer. And where the chickens spend the summer is where the cattle will graze next winter. Everything complements everything else on the farm. You know, I've found a community of farmers and ranchers out in the area that have mentored us and given us advice, especially when it comes to cattle. I didn't have experience with cattle before we did this. Because, you know, the thing about farming and ranching is you can watch YouTube and read books. Agricultural production in general is a heavily nuanced thing. And so until you get out and start doing it, there's a lot of stuff you're just not going to understand. I think fundamentally everybody wants to see everybody else succeed. You know, when they see that you're serious and you really want to learn, they take you more seriously. And that's been great. I don't think we'd be where we are now if we hadn't found that community of people. You know, when you're a small farm like this that direct markets your product, you're not just a producer, you're also delivering and marketing and doing your accounting and trying to plan for the future, and so you're wearing many hats. We're a multi-species operation, and we're selling our product ourselves directly to the consumer in most cases.
I think we both say we couldn't do this with anybody but each other.
Yeah.
So.
Fundamentally, you need to be okay with being dirty, being outside, whether it's hot or cold or raining, and you need to love animals.
Yeah.
If you don't love animals, this isn't for you.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, look around you. We've got like different, 8 different
We're
species.
outnumbered by our dogs.
Yeah.
We feel very responsible for, all of the animals, all of their well-being. Should anything go wrong, I don't want to be really far away.
During the pandemic and even with the snowstorm, when supply chains have gotten disrupted and there's been shortages of food at supermarkets and stuff, suddenly people find us and realize there are other local food sources. And so it's been good for raising awareness for local farms and people realizing that there probably is a farm within 30 minutes or an hour of where you live that has food you can buy. What you do today impacts the farm 6 months down the road. You just get a sense of joy and fulfillment seeing, animals that are healthy, living the life they should live and producing nutrient-dense food for people. So it does make us very proud. Every week we take our meat and eggs to the farmers markets and make our wholesale deliveries to the grocery stores, and we get feedback from customers who like and appreciate what we're doing, and also it's a tangible product. After working in digital advertising for 12 or 13 years, you're selling something that's pixels, you can't hold it in your hand. I think there's something very satisfying about producing a product that's tangible and that you play a role in producing and you impact the quality of that product.